Hi everyone. If you are watching this video, I'm going to assume that you have already read chapter 2. So if you have not read chapter 2, I'm going to encourage you to pause right now and go read chapter 2 before watching the rest of this video. So in this video, I am pretty much just going to go over a couple of the important quotes in chapter 2 that you can select for your dialectical journal entry. Again, you only have to do one entry because chapter 2 is very short. And then I'm also going to be showing you a map that kind of tracks Eliezer's journey throughout the book based on where he is sent by the Nazis. All right, so again, if you have looked at my website for today, you'll see that your assignment for today is to read chapter 2. It is linked right here and complete one dialectical journal entry. Again, you do not have to send me that dialectical journal entry yet. You're going to turn in all the entries for chapter 2 and 3 at the same time. So I will let you know when those are due. And again, if you like to listen to the audiobook, I linked one right here for chapter 2. There's no official audiobook on YouTube, so there are two other websites linked right here where you could either buy the audiobook or you could start a free trial to listen to the audiobook. So that is totally optional. It is just up to you. I'm really going to break your reading down into small segments. I'm not going to assign you more than a few pages a day, maybe like maximum 8 to 10 pages a day. But if you are someone who likes to listen to the book while you read, then you can look into one of these audiobook websites, or again, there are tons of teacher created videos like mine from last week. But again, the translation might be slightly different. So just be aware of that. Okay, so now I'm just going to take a couple minutes to go through the most important quotes from chapter 2. So again, at the end of chapter 1, Eliezer and his family and the rest of the Jews of Sayet were deported, and they are currently on a train. And again, it says at the beginning of chapter 2 that they had already been traveling for 2 days. And then let's see. They stop in a little town called Kashau, which is a town on the Czechoslovak frontier. I will show you kind of where that is on the map when I get there. And a German officer takes charge of their car. So again, a German officer would be a Nazi. And again, the way he kind of speaks to the Jews of Sayet kind of shows that he does not really obviously respect them. So again, if you read that article yesterday on the 10 stages of genocide, we're going to see more and more examples of dehumanization, stage 4. So it says that if they are found to have any possessions of value, they will be shot on the spot, and that if anyone is missing or anyone goes missing from their train car, their cattle wagon, they will be shot like dogs. So again, whenever people are compared to like animals, that's a form of dehumanization. All right, and then moving on, the next part of the chapter begins to talk about a woman named Madame Schachter, and Eliezer was already familiar with her. He says, I knew her well. And on the third night, she hallucinates a fire. So again, this part where she says, I see a fire, a terrible fire. This is going to be important, and you'll see why by the time you get to the end of the chapter. So you can pick any of these quotes. But again, she says she sees a fire. All of the other people in the train car go to look for it, but there was nothing there, only darkness. So everyone kind of assumes that she's just sort of losing her mind, but Madame Schachter tries to convince everyone there are huge flames. It is a furnace. All right. So again, Madame Schachter continues to have these hallucinations throughout the chapter, to the point where the other Jews are starting to sort of get frightened of her. They say, make her be quiet. She's mad. Shut her up. They tie her up and gag her and hit her. So again, this is obviously disturbing the other people on the train to the point that they will do anything to make her be quiet, because her having these hallucinations is scaring them. All right. So again, Madame Schachter continues to have these hallucinations until the train finally stops. So this is on the third page of chapter 2, and they had arrived at the station Auschwitz. And Eliezer says no one had ever heard that name. So if you're familiar with the concentration camps during World War II, Auschwitz is probably the most famous. And at this point, remember, it's 1944. The war is going to end in about a year. So the war had been going on for several years. People had been sent to Auschwitz for several years, and yet nobody from SIAT had ever heard of it before. So this quote is kind of, I don't know, it stands out to me because it's kind of shocking that no one had ever heard of this very famous concentration camp. All right. So again, they learn that they will be getting out at Auschwitz. They are told that it is a labor camp and that families would not be split up and that conditions were good. So again, that is what they are told. Madam Schachter sees her visions once again. And then finally, at the top of page 4, she claims one more time to see a fire, but this time she actually does see a fire. And she says that again, or Eliezer says that this time they did see flames gushing out of a tall chimney into the black sky. All right, and then right here in a couple paragraphs, Eliezer says that there's an abominable odor floating in the air. So again, maybe you might have an idea as to what that odor might be. In fact, Eliezer confirms in the last paragraph of the chapter that it was the smell of burning flesh. So again, Madam Schachter seeing a fire could be some sort of symbolism or foreshadowing that you could write about. So any of those parts where she says she sees a fire, you could write about her use or Eliezer's use of symbolism or foreshadowing there. And again, it says at the end of chapter 2, the last line, that they had arrived at Birkenau, the reception center for Auschwitz. So I am going to have you learn a little bit more tomorrow about Auschwitz and sort of how various concentration camps worked during World War II under the Nazis. And basically, Birkenau is a part of Auschwitz where people will arrive and the Nazis will decide what to do with them next. So that's what you're going to see in chapter 3 is all these people getting off the train at Birkenau and the Nazis deciding what to do with them. All right, so I hope that you were able to pick one of those quotes. You don't even have to pick a quote that I talked about, but I do just also want to show you the map really quickly. So again, if you go over to my website under notes for this week, it says here's a map. And if you click on that link, it'll take you to this page. And just to kind of show you where they are right now, again, they started in SIAT, which is Eliezer's hometown. And again, during World War II, this was considered to be a part of the country Hungary, but now it is considered to be part of the country Romania. And you might have remembered that in chapter 1, he says that he's from the region of Transylvania, which you might have heard from. So again, it's this kind of part of what is now northern Romania. So they start in SIAT. They take the train this way through Czechoslovakia, which is now no longer a country. It's divided into the Czech Republic and Slovakia. But they stop in a town called Kaschau, where the Nazis officially take control of them. And then finally, their train stops at Auschwitz and Birkenau. So again, Birkenau is a part of the concentration camp Auschwitz. All right, so again, that is a map that you can use. As you can see, Eliezer will not be staying there the whole book. He will continue to be moved and moved and moved. So you'll have to wait and see when we read the later chapters, kind of what happens that makes him move to those other places. Okay, so again, you do not have to turn in your journal entry for chapter 2 yet. I will let you know when you do have to. And as always, let me know if you have any questions. All right, I will talk to you tomorrow.